Hey there, Prairie Plant Girl here. Today I wanted to talk to you about stratification. Stratification is a process of treating your seeds to help them to break dormancy. And there are some seeds that need this more than others. And so I thought that we would go through a few seeds that in doing my research and playing around with and trying to grow over the years, seem like they need more cold stratification than others. So there are different types of stratification, but the main kind is cold, and it can be dry or moist. Some seeds just need to go into a period of cold dormancy for a certain number of days, and then they can be taken out of that dormancy and exposed to moisture and sunshine and heat, and they will start to grow. Others would prefer to be exposed to a moist cold period. So they want to have some nice moist soil or medium around them, not soggy wet. They don't want to be rotting and floating away, but they do need that moistness to the soil, that dampness, and the coolness to help kind of break up that seed coat and get them ready to germinate. And so sometimes if you're having trouble getting a seed to break its dormancy, that could be why. Is that it just needs a little bit of different treatment. There's other ways that you can break the dormancy on some seeds. Some seeds have a really hard shell that you might need to manually, through like sandpaper or just physically nicking the seed, just break up the outer coat. Or sometimes you actually need to like soak it in like a vinegar solution or something to break up that coat and just help get it broken up. Some seeds actually require fire to break down and open up the outer shell or coating so that the seed inside can actually come out and be exposed to air and light and moisture and get going. Some seeds like to have hot water poured over them or almost boiling water and just soak that way for a little bit. So there's lots of different ways that seeds find out in nature to find their way to break dormancy. Some seeds even like to go through several stages of dormancy, so it might take several seasons of them going through the same kind of conditions over and over again before they are ready to break their dormancy. So if you've had trouble getting seeds to germinate in the past just by doing the general sowing that we all see on a regular basis, and we all do, whereas you just set seeds on soil, or maybe you start yours in the damp paper towel, to see if they've germinated before you plant them into soil. But if those types of things aren't working for you, then maybe you need to do a little bit more research on that seed and see if it needs some sort of intervention to help get the seed to germinate. Some seeds, if they're very old, they will have more trouble breaking their dormancy, and so sometimes those procedures are more important with the older seeds than they are with the very freshly collected seeds. Lots of times we can get away with taking fresh collected seeds that are a year or less old off the plant and pot them up just in a regular fashion, and they'll germinate just fine. But once they've gotten deeper into their dormancy, which is what a seed is doing, it's gone into a kind of like little dormancy, then sometimes it's harder to break that dormancy and get them to germinate. So like I said, today we're going to be talking about cold stratification and the dry versus moist. So the easiest stratification that you might find or need to do is dry stratification. And you're just going to take your seeds and you could just put them, usually you want to put them in something that's a little bit moisture proof. Cold areas sometimes can have extra moisture where we're going to store the seeds. Close them up, take the seeds, mark them if it's not a clear container where you can clearly see the seeds, and you can just put them in your refrigerator. Now it might be beneficial, depending on how many seeds you're planning to start, to just put a few of the seeds from the package in the refrigerator, maybe into a baggie or small container, to help you to identify them, just label them on the outside. But the more times that you take seeds and put them into the refrigerator or the freezer, if they need actual freezing, not many need that, and then take them back out, the more they're subjected to that change in temperature and humidity, and that can actually affect the longevity of the seeds. Most seeds will last for many, many years, but the more times you cycle them through that very cold to warm room temperature situation, the less lifespan the seed can have. So you might want to take your seeds, put them, just a few that you want to get going later on, into a baggie and save the rest for another year if that's something you're interested in doing. Now I have 2 seeds here that are grasses, and I've seen conflicting information about growing the grasses and what you need. Some of the sources that I've seen have said that they need a dry stratification, and then I have a prairie drop seed and it says a moist stratification. And then some say just put them into warm soil in warm conditions. So I just put my little blue stem grass into basically warm soil, warm conditions last year, and it grew very well for me. And any grasses I've ever grown have grown well for me that way. Last year I tried my prairie drop seed in kind of a pseudo cold stratification, kind of pseudo fall planting type thing, where I planted them into little seed cells in my unheated greenhouse and just kept them moist all through the winter and spring, and they didn't do a single thing for me. And so this year I'm actually going to just try growing them just like any other grass that I've ever grown, and just putting them in seed trays at the correct timing for them to be grown out. And I'll just grow them inside that way and see how it goes for me. And that's what I'm planning to do with my grasses this year. So like I said, there are kind of conflicting bits of information that I found online about them. So that might not be the best option, but that's what I'm going to do this year. Now, I do have some other seeds that need moist stratification. And moist stratification is the same thing. You're going to be putting the seeds in the refrigerator, but you want to set them into a moist medium first. And this medium needs to be moist but not wet. You shouldn't be able to squeeze it and have any drops of water come out of it. And you can use sand, you could use peat moss, you can use vermiculite, whatever you like to do that with. You want to get something that's fairly sterile. You don't want to be introducing any disease or anything into your plants. But you want to put the seeds in there, and you want as much medium as seeds or slightly more medium. So usually I wind up with quite a bit of medium. A lot of times these seeds are fairly small. This time I have some that are questionably even seeds. I have some very old packs here that have just a little bit of something in the bottom of them that I'm not sure it's actually seeds left back there, but we're going to try it. And there'll be different amounts of days that your seeds need the stratification with. And I find even more so with the moist stratification seeds is you go from 10 days to 60 or even 90 days. These all are 60 except for one variety. So I'm just going to be labeling my baggies that I'm using. And first I'm going to go through and label them all. So I have Heartleaf Alexander, which is a Zizia aptera, and it's supposed to need 60 days of cold, moist stratification. The other sources that I've seen have also just recommended straight up fall sowing, which usually is a pretty good bet with native plants. The only thing that can be an issue with those is if you get a lot of washouts in the spring, or if you have a lot of like rodent or bird activity, then they can clean up the seeds on you before the seeds have a chance to get going in the spring. So that's a chance you might risk. Or if you have a prolonged warm fall, the insects population might still be out. Ants and things can carry away your seeds as well. I'm going to be doing it this way and kind of artificially creating that cold period for them. So like I said, I have the Heartleaf Alexander. I have, what's the common name for this? Milkweed. This is a variety of milkweed. It's an Asclepias. It's an incarnata. So Asclepias incarnata. And the variety is Cinderella. And I've saved these seeds for years. And lots of times I've been able to just sow these seeds either through winter sowing or just in my grow room and get them to grow. These seeds are now going on 5 years old, these ones that I have collected. And I have found that they are getting to be a little less reliable to get going. So I thought maybe I would try the cold stratification method. They only need 30 days. They're my variety that only needs 30 days of cold stratification. And then, like I said, I have these two very old seed packs. I don't even have the date marked on these, but these must be at least 5 years old now too. One is Tufted Fleabane, which is Origeron, however you say that, Caspitosis. And then I have Hairy Golden Aster, which is a Chrysopsis villosa. So I have used these seeds many times. Honestly, don't know that I have any growing in my yard. So it feels like I haven't been very successful with them. If I have, I've pulled them out as thinking they were weeds. Sometimes native plants especially can look weedy, and I've mostly tried fall sowing these. So we're going to give this a try with whatever dust is left in the bottom of these little packages, and we'll see if it's seed or not. So anyways, those are 60 days, and the Heartleaf Alexander is 60 days, and then the Asclepius or milkweed is 30 days. So I'm just going to label these bags quick with each of the varieties and how many days they need to be in the fridge and the date that I'm putting them in, and then we'll get to filling the bags. Okay, so I just put the variety of the plant, the date that I'm putting them in, which is January 8th, and the date that they need to come out, which is March 8th. Now, especially with these that are going in for like 60, 90 plus days, you should check them every month just to see if you have anything germinating in there. But I'm going to be taking these packs, I'm going to open this up. And try and get whatever is in the bottom of this package to fall out. And it's going to look like dust, I think, for the most part here. It didn't look like a whole lot in there, but there are a few. Oh, there's definitely some, see, down in the corners. That's why I wanted to open this up. I'll show you in a minute here. Sometimes they hide down in the corners and you can't even see what's going on. There's definitely something in here. All right. I just have to get it all out. Oh, there's lots in here. Well, that's encouraging. So hopefully you can see just how many little tiny seed fluffs seem to actually be in here. It's actually quite encouraging. Now, it's really not that much as far as weight or volume. And so when you think about that you need as much of your moist medium as you need seed, or slightly more, it doesn't take very much to get in there. And I'm just taking a little scoop of this dampened, this is fine vermiculite that I have here. I can't remember if I told you that, but this is just like, I don't know, a tablespoon or so. And I just put it in my little baggie here. I'm trying to get the air out for the most part. And then I'll try and mix that around with the seed a little bit, so the seeds are in contact with it, hopefully. And we'll get the next one done up. The Heartleaf Alexander, I did this the same way last year as I did the Prairie drop seed. And I think I got one Heartleaf Alexander out of that. And I had only planted like 4 or 6 or something. So it wasn't terrible considering I got 0 out of the drop seed grass. But there, I just have a few in my hand there. And I'm going to put them into the bag. Now, I don't want to put the whole package because I just don't need that many plants. There's quite a few seeds in here. And then that saves some to do for another year, another time if I want to try again or try another method. If this doesn't prove to be the best for me, then I might try something else next year. But for most of what I look at for these seeds, this is what they want you to do. So again, this is a 60-day one. So again, just I don't know, a tablespoon or so of the moist medium there. So you can see the seeds there on the side of the bag. And then the medium over here. So I'm just going to try and mix them together. Again, the seed into the vermiculite, so you can have that dampness. And I think just having that dampness in the bag, even if the seeds aren't completely covered, is probably giving it that cold, damp environment. And if you don't have, you know, too crazy of an amount of the moist medium, then it'll be easier to see if your seeds are germinating early. Now, the hairy golden Alexander is another one that I'm not sure what I actually have in this little package, so I'm going to try and dump them in here, and we'll see what we get with this one. I was very surprised with the Tufted Fleabane, so we'll see. There's at least 2 that I'm seeing there. Try and open this up a bit. So, like I said, sometimes the seeds kind of hide in the the edges of these packages, so sometimes just opening them up is the best method to get right in there. I think that those 2 seeds is all that was in here though. Yeah. So it looks like there's just 2 in here, so not great chances on very old seed, but there's definitely 2. And then again, I'm just going to take a very small scoop. I really don't need very much of this at all. Close it up, let the air out, and I'm going to try and get the seeds towards that moist medium. They're kind of staticky to the side of the bag, working them into that medium. Sometimes the harder part with those staticky seeds, have the little fluffs on them. I think I got them both in there. I don't see them anymore. Okay, so now it's just the Asclepias or the milkweed. And these I collected myself. These aren't purchased seeds, as you can tell by the fancy envelope. So I've removed the little fluff heads off of them. And they come like this. So I'd say I have a good dozen or more here. Just drop them in there. And we'll get a good sized scoop to go in here. These are a little bit more substantial seeds. Again, we're just gonna close it up, get the air out. See if we can work that medium around the seeds. Now, the seeds are really sticking out of this still, so I think I'm going to add 1 more scoop of the vermiculite. I have lots of it made up here. I think that'll help to get good coverage on all of those Asclepias seeds. Okay, so these only need to be in the cold storage for 30 days or a month. So I just wrote on here to take them out in February, and I'll check on them then. These are pretty big size seeds, so I should be able to see if they started to germinate at that point, and I can bring you along to see what they look like. But when the seeds are done their cold stratification time, all you need to do is take them out, and then you can take them and just individually pot the seeds if you can see them, if they're nice large seeds like the Asclepias is. Or if you have a smaller seed like, say, the hairy Golden Aster or the Tufted Fleabane, were both smaller and they might kind of get lost in the medium, especially depending on the color of the medium and the seed. It could be harder to distinguish what's what if they're not germinated. So you might want to just sprinkle it out on top of a seed tray, and then just watch, and maybe you need to separate seedlings out or thin them out later on, but that might be the easiest option. Or you can just pull individual seeds and plant them as you normally would in a seed tray after they've had that cold stratification period. Hopefully this helps you out if you're kind of confused about stratification or pre-treatment of seeds. Hopefully this gave you some ideas. There's some really good resources on the Prairie Moon Nursery website or the Prairie Nursery website. So they're very similar names. So I'm not affiliated with either of them. In fact, they're both American. I don't even think I can easily get seeds from either of those companies here, but they do have really good information on treating your plants to get germination happening, especially with the native plants. Like I said, the information they have on what treatment is needed can be a little bit different on both sites, but still helpful information to get you started. I'm just going to take these little bags and put them all inside just a thicker reusable bag, just, you know, to help avoid any mess that might occur if the bags broke open on me for some reason. And then it's best to put them back in your refrigerator or into like a produce drawer or at the far back of your fridge, because if you have them in the door's opening and closing a lot and it can really fluctuate the temperatures. So if you put them in the back, then there's more chance of them staying at a more consistent temperature. So let me know in the comments down below. Do you have any seeds that you pre-treat on a regular basis? Have you done this before? What have you found really good success with if you've done this before? And what plants do you find just don't need it, that maybe you've heard do need pre-treating and cold treatment? So let me know in the comments down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching if you got all the way to the end, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.